Hey everybody, HomeSliceHenry here, and in today's video we're taking an early look at the new Community Day Thunder Punch Goodra in the Great League. These battles were submitted to the channel by a member of the community, Smudgy B, so many thanks for the battle submission. Thunder Punch proves to be a nice upgrade for Goodra in the Great League. It's a cheaper coverage move than Power Whip and gives it new play in matchups that it previously struggled in, like Mantine, Mandibuzz, and Skarmory. Great League, of course, isn't currently available, so Smudgy ended up doing a bunch of practice battles with myself as one of the opponents. So without further ado, let's hop into the matches and let's take a look at Thunder Punch Goodra. Tough lead in the first match, Water Gun Lantern versus the Shadow Whiscash, the safe switch into the Goodra, and in comes Skarmory. Right off the bat, going to be able to fire off the Thunder Punch, and if you land the Thunder Punch as the Goodra, Goodra now has the ability in the 2 shield to Dragon Breath all the way down and win switch. So you're going to see these Dragon Breaths are adding up quite a bit, and the opponent, who's actually me here, has to make a choice. Do I want to commit shields and lose switch, or just take shield advantage? So the opponent is going to take shield advantage. Back in comes the Whiscash farming up, the Goodra able to make it to an Aqua Tail, and Aqua Tail is going to apply some chip damage. Shadow Whiscash, already losing a lot of HP, going to fire off the Mud Bomb. Mud Bomb will connect, but this proves to be a difficult situation, as the Dragonair not going to be able to farm down before Mud Bomb is reached, and a Mud Bomb does quite a lot of damage. We're going to see a no-shield Mud Bomb is going to connect. Whiscash stays in. Looks like there might be a weakness to Dragon in the back, and there is. It's going to be a Spark Lantern. Lantern, one away from the Surf. Body Slam will be shielded. The farm up and the catch of the Surf onto the Lantern. Very nicely done. This catch now puts Smudgy in a pretty nice position. A fun fact about the Spark nerf, by the way, the Spark nerf is such that in a Lantern Mirror, Water Gun and Spark actually have the same damage per turn, even though Water Gun is resisted and Spark is neutral. We're going to see a bait here going into the Lantern, and it gets no shielded. Opponent realizing they have to try and call a bait to get back into this game, but even with the bait call, this is looking like a very difficult game to win. Farming up, trying for the catch, but the switch clock just not yet available. We're going to see the Thunderbolt connect, the switch to the Dragonair, and Dragonair is just able to outpace the Lantern. Lantern can't quite make it to the Surf. Body Slam gets the KO and secures the win. We've got a Battle of Lantern in the next match. Opponent is on Spark, and this is definitely not ideal. Water Gun Lantern going to farm up, switch when the opponent gets to a Thunderbolt, and get a catch onto the Goodra. Goodra absorbing the Thunderbolt damage like it's nothing. Opponent get a send in Mandibuzz. This is a Pokemon that used to give Goodra absolute nightmares. Goodra was stuck going for non-same type attack bonus Aqua Tail, and it just really did not add up. Whereas Thunder Punch, even though it's not the strongest move around, by virtue of it being super effective damage, is still going to make the Mandibuzz matchup a lot more palatable for the Goodra. Goodra now going to fire off Thunder Punch number 2. We're going to see a shield from the Mandibuzz. Mandibuzz farming up quite a lot of energy. Goodra with a decision to make, going to no shield. Opponent goes for the Dark Pulse. Dark Pulse doesn't quite KO Mandibuzz. Looking for the farm down, but Goodra able to withstand the Snarl damage, make it to the Aqua Tail, and force a shield. In comes the Lantern. Unfortunately, Lantern does get denied on bring in there. The Dark Pulse is going to connect. Let's see, does that? Oh, that does matter. The 1-turn denial means the Mandibuzz gets a second Dark Pulse. That is so unfortunate. Opponent is going to send back in the Spark Lantern, which will immediately be met with the Thunderbolt. Thunderbolt is going to connect. Farming up more energy here, trying to get to a Thunderbolt, but it's not to be. Opponent is going to go for the Surf, and that will pick up the KO. In comes Dragonair. In the back is Annihilape. Annihilape is going to actually, looks like it loses charge attack priority here. The Aqua Tail does big damage. Opponent just going straight for the Night Slash, hoping for a potential Night Slash boost. Dragonair commits the shield. There's no Night Slash boost. Annihilape getting farmed down. In comes the Lantern, and the Lantern is not going to make it to the move. Dragonair doing a little 360 there as it picks up the KO with the Body Slam and takes the win. We see Water Gun Lantern versus Charjabug in the next match. With Water Gun, this matchup is very okay for Lantern. Charjabug can outpace in this matchup, but 2 X Scissors plus the Volt Switches don't quite knock out. so it's not bad at all if you're the Lantern. Lantern is going to fire off the Surf. Surf will connect. Lantern continuing to farm. We're going to see another X-Scissor fired off here by the Charjabug. Charjabug is going to connect with that damage. In comes the Goodra. Opponent sends out Annihilape, and Annihilape is going to now be met with the Aqua Tail. In neutral situations, Goodra is still going to want to go for the Aqua Tail, as Aqua Tail, being the 35 energy move, does have some pretty decent damage per energy. Opponent is going to go for the Night Slash with the Annihilape. Annihilape winning charge attack priority over the Goodra. Goodra wanting to get this damage, going to commit the shield and fire off the Aqua Tail. Aqua Tail to the Annihilape is going to be no shielded. Goodra able to get the farm down. What does the opponent have in the back? They have Mantine. Mantine gets a big farm down, and this is a bit of a problem. There is still some energy available on the Lantern, but this is a Water Gun Lantern, so it doesn't have the fast move pressure. Opponent will go for the Aerial Ace. We're going to see a shield now from the Lantern. Lantern farming up. Opponent tries for the catch onto Charjabug. The catch is unsuccessful, but Charjabug does make the X-Scissor. X-Scissor connects, dealing significant damage to the Dragonair. In comes the Mantine. We're going to see Dragonair firing off the Body Slam. Body Slam will hit for some pretty solid damage. Mantine commits the shield. The Lantern does have a Thunderbolt loaded, so it all comes down to this. Did Mantine bank the back-to-back moves? In comes the Lantern, clicking on the Thunderbolt, but losing charge attack priority. A very rare sight in Go Battle League, a Mantine KOing a Lantern, and that's game over. We see a Core Breaker on the lead in the next match. Water Gun Lantern versus Shadow Alolan Sandslash. The Sandslash is on Powder Snow, which makes it a lot tougher for the dragons in the back, but actually quite a bit better for the Water Gun Lantern, because Lantern not really taking a lot of fast move pressure here. Lantern is going to fire off the Surf. The Surf gets no shielded by the Sandslash. Lantern just cannot get the Water Gun down. 1 HP left on the Alolan Sandslash as it picks up the KO. But you can snipe with the Dragon Breath here, not take any damage on the Goodra. Opponent sends out Mantine, and Mantine not going to have a terrific time here. But Mantine can have Ice Beam, so we will see the shield. It is going to be an Aerial Ace bait. Now it's Goodra's turn to bait. Goodra baiting with the Aqua Tail. Aqua Tail bait is going to get the shield from the opponent. We're going to see Mantine farming up a ton of energy, and a switch out by the opponent, and a catch of a Thunder Punch. That's going to be caught onto Annihilape. In comes Dragonair. Dragonair going to be met with the Night Slash. Night Slash not going to threaten a KO, but will do quite a lot of damage. Dragonair looking for the farm down. Gets the farm down, surviving with a little bit of HP. Back in comes the Mantine. Mantine going to look for a farm down. If the Mantine does have Ice Beam, this could be difficult. I think Mantine can make 2 Ice Beams. The only play is to call a bait or hope they have Water Pulse. No shield. It's the Aerial Ace, and suddenly there's life for the Goodra. Opponent has to double up, and right before they get the back-to-back Aerial Aces, the Aqua Tail is reached. Down goes Mantine, and that's game over. Tough lead for the Lantern, leading into a Shadow Magnezone. This is definitely a matchup where having Water Gun is a lot better as the Lantern, but it's still not a particularly fun matchup because the Wild Charge does so much damage, and the Magnezone can always bait. Here we're actually going to see a switch out and a catch of a potential Wild Charge onto the Goodra, and it is going to be the Wild Charge. Opponent going to send out Shadow Gligar. Gligar forced to fire off the Aerial Ace right away or risk getting hit with an Aqua Tail. Aerial Ace will pick up the KO, but now you have a Water Gun Lantern that stored a ton of energy. The Water Gun Lantern never threw a move versus the Magnezone, so you can just send in the Water Gun Lantern. Look at this overfarm. Oh my, the energy management, an absolute clinic. Firing the Surf 1 turn before the dig is going to be reached. In the back, it's Hakamo'o, and this is incredibly bad. Lantern has so much energy, but it doesn't really do anything here. We're going to see the shield, the switch into the Dragonair. Dragonair farming up energy. Dragonair, it looks like the Hakamo'o may have lagged just the tiniest bit there. Body Slam, shielded. Hakamo'o going to pick up the KO with the Dragon Claw. Down goes the Dragonair. It's all up to Lantern to try and finish this game. Back in comes the Magnezone. Magnezone is going to be met with the Surf. That is shielded. The overfarm by the Lantern, not letting the Magnezone make a move. The Surf will KO. In comes Hakamo'o, and the Water Gun Lantern, the pristine energy management throughout. Water Gun Lantern KOs Hakamo'o and takes home the win. Great lead in the next match, Water Gun Lantern versus Shadow Gligar. They check the fast move, safe switch to the Shadow Poliwrath. Lantern farming up, one turn short of the Thunderbolt. Let's see, how carefully has the opponent been counting? Not carefully enough. They end up committing the shield. Lantern going to no shield as the Scald connects. Scald does not get the debuff. Lantern going to just be able to make it to the Thunderbolt. Is the opponent really willing to double shield in this matchup? The answer is yes. They're going to double shield and counter all the way down. Now, the Goodra has 2 shields, but it's going to have to give up these 2 shields very, very quickly here, because the Poliwrath is going to be able to make 2 Icy Winds before Goodra is going to be able to make it to one of its Thunder Punches. So now the Goodra goes from 2 shields to 0 in a split second. Switch by the opponent into the Gligar, and we're going to see a switch out into Dragonair. No sense in staying in with a double debuffed Goodra, sending in the Dragonair. The dig connects. Gligar is unable to get the farm down, however, and Dragonair is going to make it to the Aqua Tail and knock out Gligar. In the back, it's Giratina Origin, and this is unfortunately going to be a loss. This is one situation where not having a potential Draco Meteor as the Goodra is a little bit unfortunate. Overall, Aqua Tail and Thunder Punch is going to be far more consistent than something like Aqua Tail and Draco Meteor, but I did want to keep this battle in, as if you end up in a situation where it's a very healthy Dragon type and it shields down, it is a bit unfortunate with the Aqua Tail Thunder Punch moveset. In the next match, Lantern versus Annihilape lead. Annihilape has enough for the Shadow Ball. Lantern calls the bait and gets hit with the nuke move. And now, things do get a little difficult. The Surf will connect. It's a race, Water Gun versus counter, and it's Annihilape emerging victorious, leaving on low HP with a Night Slash loaded. In comes the Goodra. Goodra not able to get the Dragon Breath farm down before the Night Slash is reached. But Night Slash not going to do a lot, as Goodra does have some pretty nice bulk. In comes Skarmory. Skarmory, not a Pokemon that you want to see with a double dragon backline. Goodra trying to go for charge attack priority, but the opponent doesn't throw right away. But landing the Thunder Punch is pretty nice. Goodra cannot get to the Aqua Tail. Good counting by the opponent. Opponent goes for the Sky Attack. That's going to pick up the KO. In comes Dragonair. Dragonair going to be forced to shield here, and it all comes down to what is in the back. Can Dragonair potentially farm it down? In the back, it's a Feraligatr. This is the non-Shadow Feraligatr, which means a Hydro Cannon won't quite KO here. But if it lands, it will do quite a lot of damage. Opponent has a lot of energy. Do you try and call a bait? Do you shield? It's the shield. It's the Ice Beam. Can Dragonair farm down? Feraligatr makes it to the Hydro Cannon, but the Dragon Breath damage is too much. And we're actually going to see Skarmory get knocked out by the Dragonair. And that's the nice thing, is Goodra was able to set this up by landing the Thunder Punch earlier, dealing meaningful damage to the point where Dragonair can actually KO the Skarmory and take the win. Tough lead in the next match, Lantern versus Lickitung. The safe switch into Goodra, opponent staying in this matchup so they don't have a direct hard counter to a dragon in the back. That is going to be pretty good news, considering it is going to be a double dragon team. It ends up being charge attack priority, as the Lickitung will connect with the Body Slam. Opponent switches out into Feraligatr, and if you have something like Power Whip, you would get outpaced here. The opponent would just make the Hydro Cannon, but since it's Thunder Punch, Goodra actually able to force a shield. Feraligatr is going to get a massive farm down, which is a bit uncomfortable, but now it's going to be Lantern's turn to try and commit to the farm down. If the Feraligatr does have Crunch, this could get very awkward, but they don't. They are running Hydro Cannon and Ice Beam on the Shadow Feraligatr. We're going to see Hydro Cannon after Hydro Cannon fired by the Feraligatr. My goodness. Feraligatr able to make another Hydro. This basically would knock out, so we are going to see the shield from the Lantern. Can Lantern get the farm down? It's going to be very close. We're going to see a switch into the Dragonair, and Dragonair is able to snipe. So realizing the farm down wouldn't quite happen, there's a Mantine in the back, and now we see again why the opponent had to kind of stay in here with the Lickitung when the Goodra safe switch happened. Because with a double water backline, they don't really want to get Thunder Punched. And so they decide that the lesser of two evils is getting Thunder Punched on the Feraligatr. Dragonair is going to win charge attack priority over the Mantine here, as Body Slam is going to be shielded. And now Mantine going to be able to connect with the Aerial Ace. Aerial Ace is going to get them low. We see a switch out by the opponent into the Lickitung, and the quick switch into Lantern. Lantern, Thunderbolt will connect. Lantern going to be hit with the Body Slam, and unfortunately the Dragonair is just too low in the back. In comes the Dragonair. Lickitung gets the farm down and takes the win. Hopping into the final match, leading Water Gun Lantern versus Vigoroth. this is a pretty okay spot to be as the Lantern. Lantern is going to no shield as Vigoroth will fire off the Body Slam. Lantern continuing to farm. Lantern playing the charge attack priority there. Vigoroth, of course, is going to win CMP, but the Body Slam not going to be enough to threaten a KO. Lantern firing off the Surf. Vigoroth is going to no shield. We're going to see a switch into Goodra. Opponent sends in Mandibuzz. Mandibuzz, again, a matchup that used to completely just wall energy from Goodra, basically, because Aqua Tail didn't really do a whole lot. But now with Thunder Punch, even against a bulky Pokemon like Mandibuzz, it's still going to add up. So the Thunder Punch is going to connect. Goodra over farming, trying to hide how much energy it has from the Mandibuzz. Dark Pulse is going to connect. Goodra is going to be firing off this Thunder Punch. Mandibuzz is going to commit the shield. Goodra continuing to farm. Goodra makes it to the Aqua Tail, putting pressure onto that Mandibuzz. Mandibuzz is going to shield. It's very low. The switch into the Lantern. Opponent is going to send in a Gligar as the final Pokemon. Opponent may have wanted to switch into the Vigoroth, but even if they did, the Vigoroth was just getting farmed down there by the Lantern. So, as you can see from the avatar, it is me as the opponent in this final match. So, I did end up misclicking. As you see here, in New Zealand time, which is where Smudgy lives, it was like 6 p.m. For me, it was like 1:30 in the morning, so it was very, very late at night. So I did unfortunately end up making a bit of a misswap there, but regardless, didn't look like I was winning this one, as there's still a very healthy Dragonair in the back. All in all, Thunder Punch ends up being a really nice addition to Goodra's moveset. It does allow Goodra to compete as a Dragon type in a way that Dragon types don't really get to compete in the Great League at the moment. Being a Dragon type that can actually threaten Skarmory is incredibly nice, considering how popular Skarmory is at the moment. And on top of that, considering there's Pokemon like Mantine and Mandibuzz roaming around as well, being able to hit for super effective damage makes those matchups substantially better for Goodra. So overall, I do think this is a very nice upgrade for Goodra in the Great League. When it comes to Goodra in the Ultra League and the Master League, you can definitely still get them, but I do think that this update is primarily focused around the Great League, but it does have a very nice update for Goodra in that format. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. If you're enjoying the content, make sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't. And a special thank you as always to our members here on YouTube. The support guys provide is sincerely appreciated. So thank you guys oh so very much. And until next time, I've been HomeSliceHenry.